market changing a little bit, right? It's starting to slide in a little bit of a different direction. We've seen the market change in the last 10 years, but it's just going more towards the seller's market. But now we're seeing a reverse of that. Does that make sense? So we all know how to handle a seller's market, but what we're here to talk about is we're here to talk about what we can do to strategize this changing market in another direction. The good news is that you got some really strong speakers that are going to tell you some strategies that their strengths are in. So I was thinking about this the other day when I was having to prepare for this, and I was thinking about changing markets. And one of the things that came to my mind was Prohibition. How did these wineries, so during Prohibition in 1920, went from 1920 to 1933, 14 years. I was thinking about it and I thought, you know what? How did some of these wineries make it through? 2/3 of America's wineries, distilleries, and breweries failed never to come back. And I wasn't really interested in those. I was more interested in the third that survived. So some of the things that they did was they did sacrament wine, right? Which was interesting. There's a winery in upstate New York that started making sacrament wine. The government wouldn't touch that through the 18th Amendment. And what was interesting was that I felt that was the number of registered clergymen went up almost 2,000% during Prohibition. Right? There was another winery in South Jersey. I thought this guy was interesting too. He went to the government before the FDA, and he got a permit to make white and red tonic. And he said clearly on the label in big letters, he said, "Do not refrigerate this. It'll turn to wine. And it's illegal for us to sell, manufacture, distribute wine." And what we found out was that icebox sales in New Jersey went up over 400% during Prohibition. So those are some people, and both those wineries, by the way, were purchased during Prohibition. So we had some owners there that were thinking that they had some vision, that they could do some things. Some of the other things that happened, Coors, for instance, for us mid-level guys, were the country's largest distributor of malted milk. And during Prohibition, they sold to just about every soda fountain, candy store, and ice cream parlor in the US. Budweiser was able to do this. They created the first ice box, and they partnered with Mack Truck, and they are recognized as the inventor of the refrigerated transportation and trucking. They also were smart enough to figure that Prohibition would limit you to not manufacturing alcoholic beverages that had a content of more than 0.05. They were the first company in the world to create near beer or non-alcoholic beer that they still produce today. All of these companies that I talk about, they started back making their alcoholic and their core business. So the good news is we don't have it that bad. Nobody's keeping us from selling houses or providing services for buyers or sellers, but we do have to change our strategies in today's market. So when 3 months ago you got a listing, you had a lottery ticket. Make sense? Man, I'm making money. Now that's shifting towards a buyer, somebody more willing to spend the money, suck up the interest rates, that type of thing. So how do we change our prospecting to that? How do we make our market changes to that? How many of us out there have been licensed for less than 3 years? You've not seen this. How many have been licensed less than 5? How many more than 10? We need your help, right? Because you've seen that market. So today, we're going to start with Sally Lidicode out of Peoria, Peak Performance, Weichert Realtors. One of the things that she's going to talk about is client engagement and client retention. And one of the things that she's strong with is that some of you may not know that throughout a month after month, I think it is, she always says agent engagement. You know, she scores high on agent engagement with My Weichert with her agents nationally. So she knows how to, she coaches that. So we're going to tap into her expertise on how to tap into our clients and re-engage and keep client retention up. Then we're going to get in with Tony. Tony's been around. I don't know, how long has that brokerage been around, Tony? 60 years? 60 plus? 60 plus years. So one of the things that we got Tony talking about is back to old school, back to the basics. This guy, the old MLS books, right? Yeah, well, yeah, right. Right. That's good. Seasoned. He's seasoned. But you know, he remembers those times, and you know, when we are in one of the most transitional industries in the country, really, in the world. Our business changes every day, whether it's the influx of the internet or technology or different types of brokerages, 72 sold, or you know, whatever. It's changing rapidly every day. It's not car manufacturing. It's not 4 tires, a steering wheel, a seat, and a seat. You know, it's changing all the time. And Tony's one of the guys that's been around forever, and he can help us with that. You know, the old days, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, how did we handle a listing? Put it coming soon on Monday, open house on Saturday, collect contracts on Sunday, multiple counters on Tuesday, you know, that whole deal. Hey, what we got coming up here today is Randy Courtney, who's one of the best agents in the Valley. He happens to be the #1 agent on all of Weichert. This guy, every time I call him, I've known this guy for 25 years. Every time I call him, he cuts me off. Hey, I got to go. I'm going into a listing appointment right now. Got to go. I'll call you back in a half an hour. So anyway, so you know, he's going to talk to us a little bit about setting the seller's expectations, but still winning the listing. We're always going to be susceptible to the 3 big lies. I can sell it for more, faster, and I've got the buyers. So he's going to talk about strategies on how to set the expectation for sellers in this new market. He's been there. He's done all kinds of different markets. Randy, you've been a realtor for 35 years, something like that, 36. He's been through several different markets. So that's what we're here about. It's our job as brokers, whether it's Sally and Mike or Randy or Aaron or Tony or myself, to help you guys get through something that you haven't seen before. And that's why we're here. That's our job. Not our job to sit back and just say, hey, you know, let me know if you have a problem. Those brokerages are out there. We're not like that. We're getting you all in a room. So what I'm really thrilled about is the winners that are in here, because we know that things are going to change. So without any more, we got a little pieces of housekeeping. Turn your phones on silent. Each speaker's allotted a certain amount of time. We've got a lot of content to go over. At the end of each session of speaking, we've allotted some time for questions. So please hold your questions till the end of the presentation. There's a ton of content here, so we're not taking any scheduled breaks. There's some snacks in the back that are coming. I think some bagels and stuff like that. You know, feel free to get up and get them to your desk. We are not taking a lunch break. If you have to use the restroom, feel free to do it on your own, whatever. But there will be no slotted time for a lunch break. And then we are recording this. So some of you guys that want to refer back to it, contact your broker and we'll get you the recording, or we'll make it public somehow, maybe hang it on YouTube or something and get you guys available to it. But that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And I tell you, the smartest agents in the room are in this room right here. That's what I'm excited about. So Sally, come on up. Here's a microphone.
If you did not get your business card, I think I got it from everybody, but there was a few people I saw straggle in. Make sure you get it up here because we're doing some drawings and some fun stuff today. So, is it already on? Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Mike's shaking his head no. Can't hear me. Okay.
So is it better if I do this?
It might just be for the computer. Is that correct? Okay. Cool. Well, I usually don't have a problem projecting my voice. So for those of you in the back, if you don't hear me, just do this little signal, just kind of rub your ear. I do that when Mike and I are teaching real estate continuing education classes, when he all of a sudden kind of gets quieter. And I'm like, hey, they can't hear you in the back of the room, because I'm not going to say that in the front of the class. But we have a lot of fun with that. I will correct you on one thing, Chris. My last name is Liticote. I see one of my agents applauding because he's like, that is not right. And I know he's a detail person. So I've been around for a little while, and kind of like Chris said, one of the things that I pride in my office is are usually, I wish we were at the #1 slot, but we're almost always consistently at the #2 slot across the country in lead engagement out of our office. That's pretty huge, because who knows that lead engagement is the key to turning people into business, whether they're your sphere of influence, whether they're somebody you just met, or whether they're a past client. Can I get an agreement on that? If you don't engage with them, how are they going to do business with you? So I take that very personal. You guys know, who can tell me the name of the tool that we use for lead engagement that just helps us out left and right? Anybody? Shout it out. KV Core. It is amazing. And if you're not using it, start using it, and you can take your business to a whole nother level. Not saying that you have to have it to be successful, but if you're not using it, you're missing out on a lot of things. Let me just say that. So on the first slide, I had on there meaningful lead engagement, although I may have spelled it wrong now that I'm looking at this. Really, lead engagement is your future success in business, period. Again, if you're not engaging with leads, you're going to have a problem converting them to a client or a customer or anything along those lines, or even having a conversation, because that's what engagement is. It's just a conversation. And it's not necessarily, hey, we booked the appointment, although that's an engagement as well. But it starts out by making a friend, serving people, and then you end up getting to do business with them. So on the slide, and if I don't know if all of you can see it, I'll step out of the way for that. And I put some notes because I'm great at speaking, but I like to make sure I don't miss something. So I'm not fancy. Chris has got his little thing up here with his notes, and I'm like, I just carry mine around. Sometimes I look at them, but they're my security blanket. Kind of funny hearing for a CE instructor that teaches all over the state of Arizona, but I just like to really know what I'm talking about and not miss something, because I think it's that important. So staying connected with your leads is uber important. If you don't have a database, number one, you should have a database, whether it be KV Core or something else. But if you don't have a database, start building one now. It's not too late. If you do have one, now is the time to start engaging if you haven't already been doing so. Referrals, who knows that's the bread and butter of our business? Where are my agents that have been in here less than 3 years? How many of you are working by referral already? It takes some time. If you guys, you don't see behind you, it was about 1/3 of that. It takes some time to get to that, but that is the bread and butter of what you're aiming for. What it is, though, is leads are what you've got to start working now. And I know Chris has got a great section that he's going to be talking about prospecting, but they are your future business to listing and people buying houses from you. The old adage, who's ever heard the adage, size matters? We're not talking about that today, but the size of your database does make a difference. Real estate is a numbers game. Who's heard that? If you got 3 people and you've called them all this week 3 times, how much business can you do next week? You're starting to pester people. So more and more people build that database, build up your numbers. Again, it's a numbers game, and then it becomes a relationship game. If you've got 10 people in your database and nobody's engaging with you, you feel like you got no business. Or if there's 1 or 2 or 3, or if nobody does. If you have 500 in your database and 10 people don't engage with you, you still got 490 left. You've got a lot of opportunity when people opt out, or to text messaging or emails or whatever else. With that said, that's easy. It's easy to sit behind a screen and do emails and do text messages. Pick up the phone and call people. Anyways, I think somebody else is covering that a little bit more too. Like it says, go back one more. Pay attention to the details. How do we group similarities in KV Core? Hashtags. So if you know this person is looking in this city, hashtag them. Then when you're making calls or sending emails or doing text blasts, you can focus on those people in that city, or these people that used to be past clients, or you can do it as a group. And if you're sitting banging out phone calls, if you're calling, hey, there's a new listing in Peoria, you can say the same thing to this person, same thing to this person, same thing, and you can get it on repetition. I'm very big on consistency and repetition. I know it's dry, it's boring, but it brings success. Again, what you repeat will tend to have more success. And if this phone call doesn't go well, You tweak it on the next one, and then you tweak it on the next one, and then you tweak it, and it just starts getting easier. Anybody have a hard time making phone calls sometimes? You pick up the phone and you're like, I don't know what to say. By the time you did one, the second one's easier, the third one's easier. So do them in groups so you can have those common conversations. Again, pay attention to the details and keep the timing in mind. If you know they're going to look at transacting in January of 23, that doesn't mean don't talk to them till December of 22. Keep in touch with them, but hashtag them that it's January 23 is when their target is, so that you can make sure on a consistent basis you're getting your message out to them. Again, timing is so important, and making sure that you're paying attention to the details. Go ahead and go to the next one. So here's a couple tips for sorting leads. Or those were a couple of tips for sorting leads. Here's a couple categories that work out really, really well. And again, we just talked about those hashtags and being able to address them and stay in consistency. Same thing, brand new leads. If you're calling brand new leads and you're making that phone call, you're making that text, you're sending that email, and you know these are my brand new leads, you can just get in a routine. It makes it a whole lot easier. And the next phone call is not as scary. If you jump from a new lead to this, to somebody who's transacting next year, to somebody who's trying to do a referral, once you get really, really good, it won't matter. But if you have issues with those engagements and what to say, make it easy for yourself. You don't have, we always make things harder than it is. You don't have to do that. Leads you've recently engaged with, you know, you can move them to an active category, bring them into a hashtag. If there's somebody you've recently connected with, how many of you call a brand new lead or somebody you've engaged with once a week? Anybody call more than once a week? I see just, I think 2 hands. 2 hands. If they're a brand new lead and you're only calling once a week, somebody else is going to call them, you're losing that business. If they need your attention, they need to hear from you over and over and over again. And again, if they're recently engaged, whether they're looking at houses online because they got an email of a new listing coming up, reach out to them. Even if it's just a quick text message. Hey, I saw you were looking at houses online. Do we need to change anything out? Are you ready to set up an appointment and let's go see some stuff? Ask, ask, ask. How many of you in the room are in sales? Yay, we're in a right room. We do this in a CE class and they're like, I don't know. Or we'll ask, how many of you have your own business? Should be the same hands. You're in real estate. It is your own business. Cold leads. So you have this lead in your database. You haven't heard anything from them for a year. You've been emailing them. You've been calling. You've been texting. What do you do with them? Keep calling them. Keep texting them. Don't trash them. Put them on a long-term campaign. Don't trash them. Just because a new lead came in today doesn't mean they're ready to go look at houses and buy next week. I've had success in bringing up leads that have been in my database since 2017. 5 years, finally ready to do something. Don't give up on people. Again, what does it take to send out a mass text, a mass email to those that are hashtagged as cold leads once a month? Big deal. And if they respond, now they're newly engaged and we're running at a different pace. If they don't, it didn't take you any extra time. It's okay. And then interest-specific leads, we kind of talked about that, whether it's they're interested in this city or they're interested in 2 stories only or whatever. You can put hundreds of hashtags on a lead. One hashtag that said, oh, they came from this, it's not enough. Make sure you're categorizing them so you can get really effective with that. I think that's my last slide. I think we're at about 15 minutes or way over.
Solid. Any questions? So that's some great information. Any questions? Mike.
So you talk about calling brand new leads. Is it okay to call them more than once a day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My recommendation is you call them 3 times. Call them once, they don't answer. Call them a second time, they don't answer. Call them a third time. If they don't answer, leave them a voicemail. How many of you ever see a message? How many of you have kids? And you're busy and your kids call. And I'm busy, I'm not going to answer it right now. They call again. How many of you answer the phone? Because it's like, oh, something's up. I better answer the phone. Use that strategy and that technique to get somebody to answer the phone. Mike, just because you're the one that asked that question, you got an old lead. You don't even know if this phone number is good anymore, whatever, but you know their name is, I'll use Jenny. Send a text message that says, Jenny, question mark? You want lead engagement? They're going to say, who is this? And guess what kvCORE is going to do? It's going to automatically answer, Sally Liticote, Weicker Realtors Peak Performance. Did you guys know our system does that? So don't go in and text. Make sure to see what the system texts so you don't say it twice. But it is an amazing, amazing tool. And that's a great way to get lead engagement as well. Any other questions? I answered everything. Awesome, Chris. I think I did a great job.
Hey.
So good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things I would add to that is kvCORE. My wife, whatever you want to call it. I've been using it forever, 12 years, whatever. I train like crazy on it. But in this market, right? When you have active buyers, in the past market, you have 3 or 4 buyers, you get deals done, hey, you make money. But in this market, we're going to have to stay buyers. Right? So to get those same 3 or 4 deals, we're going to have to cultivate 50 buyers, 50 leads, 50 clients, 50, whatever. So with that being said, thank you. With that being said, kvCORE is the answer to that, because kvCORE is a CRM. That's all that is. All right. So, and it's an amazing tool. And Sally does a great job. Her office does a great job with engaging in it and using it and stuff like that. So this is a time where you should really throttle down, 5th gear, left lane, pedal to the metal with kvCORE, because you're going to cultivate a ton of leads to get that same number that you were getting a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And any CRM is going to help you organize your leads and strategize the touches and stuff like that. All right. So here we go. The old guy in the room. Big Tony. The wise guy. Again, I think his brokerage, 3 years ago celebrated 60 years. Is that right? Yes. So he's been around 60 plus years. He remembers some of the old school stuff. This guy's been in real estate his whole life. He remembers some of the old school stuff that we may be wanting to revert back to. Okay. So again, hold your questions till the end. Tony Vihan, Gold Canyon.
So apparently we've determined so far that I'm old. So, I like that. Seasoned, like a fine wine. I'd rather go with a nice steak. That's I don't drink, so wine means nothing to me. No, it's all right. I picked back to basics because of some of the reasons he was talking about, Chris was talking about. This is my 43rd year in real estate sales. So when thank you.
Prohibition, brother.
I started when I was 10. So yes, 43 years. So when I started, so you guys are talking about, oh my God, interest rates are 5%. When I started, it was 19% interest. Now prices were a little lower, but interest rates were 19% houses, 19%. Do you think we sold houses at 19% interest?
Yeah.
We did. So every market that I've been in, back in the 90s, we had another time where the market turned down and we didn't go, oh my gosh, we're getting out of well, a lot of people did get out of the business. And back in 2008 and 10, when the market started going down, there were still real estate agents that were selling stuff. They were selling their cars. They were selling because they all did stupid things. And when they were making big money, all of a sudden they started buying all these big boy toys. So anyway, there are ways to make money in real estate. I don't care what market it is. You just have to make that shift. If you ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? It talks about the fact that, hey, this is so for the past 2 years, we've had this market. So this is how we deal in this market. This is what we do. And we've known that. Well, now all of a sudden we don't have that market. But I still want to keep going back to that market because I like that market. I don't like this market. I want to go back to that market. But that market doesn't exist. So now we have to figure out, where did they move the cheese? How am I going to go find the cheese? And how am I going to sell enough cheese to keep cheese on my table? And that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. So when a real estate agent wakes up in the morning, and you have a couple of choices. You can wake up in the morning and go, okay, I guess I'm going to get up. I'll take a shower. I'll eat some breakfast. Now, what do I do? Because you don't really have a plan. So you kind of sit around and think, well, I'll check the MLS. Let's see what's new. I don't have any clients, but let's check the MLS and see what's new. So you just, without a plan, you just kind of wake up every day not really knowing what that day is going to consist of. So that day ends up, well, now it's lunchtime. Might as well eat lunch. And then I'll check the MLS some more. Whoop, now I got to go do some laundry. Now it's dinner time. And so without, most of us came, I would assume, I would assume all of you guys at some point had a job that paid you some kind of a regular salary. So you had a boss that said, here's what you do today, here's what you do tomorrow, here's what you do next week. As it was mentioned earlier, we are it. I'm Tony Inc. This is my business. I have to be the boss of my business, and I have to tell me every day what to do in order to make that business successful. So one of the big things, you didn't change the slide, no, keep it there. No, that's good. I wanted to make sure it's there. So one of the big things in my mind, no matter what you're doing, is just being consistent with it. If you decide, okay, today I'm going to start farming, I'm going to go in, I'm going to send out a postcard to 200 people around where I live. And so you sit there and you wait a week, you wait 2 weeks, nothing came in. All right, farming doesn't work. What am I going to go to next on my list? And so, okay, now I'm going to go door knocking. So, you know, you get out, you start knocking on doors, nobody opens their door. You go, well, door knocking doesn't work. And we just don't do anything consistently. It's like Chris brought up about, hey, if you haven't heard from your people in a year, what do you do? I can't even tell you how many agents I've had come to me and say, Tony, I've been sending this guy stuff. I've been calling him. I've been texting him for 2 years. And out of the blue, he called me and said, okay, we're ready to start looking at houses now. So truly, guys, don't give up. Just consistently keep sending that stuff out. It's because they're not responding doesn't mean I hate you, leave me alone. They'll tell you if they hate you or leave me alone. Believe me, people are, especially in the society we're in now, they're not afraid to say, leave me alone, never come back, use the F word. I mean, people aren't afraid to do those things. So don't be afraid of that. But just be consistent, whatever you're going to do. You don't have to do everything, the stuff I'm going to talk about. You don't have to do all of it that you're going to hear today, but pick 1 or 2 things and really stick with it. Give it 6 months or a year at least before you go, okay, this isn't working. And there are plenty of things that you can do for free. It doesn't have to cost you a ton of money in this business. Yes, or I would not have been in this business this long, believe me. All right, next slide. Let's go to, so I think the number one thing in making it in any market, whether it's this market, the market we came out of, the market that was before that, the market that was before that, whatever market you're in, you have to have systems in place. You have to know what you're doing. You have to feel confident. So you get a call today, ring, ring. Hi, Tony, I want to list my house. And I'm going, crap. I really had some other stuff I wanted to do today. I don't really have my listing presentation ready. I don't feel good about it. Is that what you want to be? Or when they call, you go, yep, I'm ready. What time you want to meet? I'm available today at 10 or at 4 o'clock. Which one works for you? And kind of have that ready to go. And you know what to do with a listing presentation. You do your research ahead. I'm not going to lay this all out, but you should have a plan in place for when somebody calls you and says, I want to list my house. Here's the things that I need to do. And if you guys don't know what those things are that you need to do, let us know, and we will give you a list of those things you need to do. The same thing with a buyer. So you get a call and you said, hey, I just saw your sign on 123 Main Street. I'm interested in taking a look. Can you come and show me the house? So do you go show them the house, or do you make them come and meet with you? Do you use the buyer consultation so that you know you're not working with somebody that can't buy a house even if they wanted to, somebody that's a flake, somebody that's a murderer, somebody that's a sex offender? There's reasons to have a plan that maybe when this guy calls, and if you've never met this person before and said, hey, I always like to meet my clients at my office. Let's meet there. Let me go over a few things with you. We'll go take a look at the house and then go from there, and start treating them like a professional. Like if you go see your accountant or your doctor or anybody like that, we tend to not consider ourselves to be professional. And so we don't treat ourselves as professionals. Somebody says, jump, we go how high, and we just go. And I don't want you guys doing that. So when you're working with buyers, have a system for sitting them down before you take them and show them a dozen houses, only to find out they can't qualify, they can't buy a house. You just wasted $5 a gallon gas running this guy or girl all over town, and they can't buy a house anyways. And helping them understand, both when you're going on a listing appointment and when you're working with a buyer, helping them understand, here's the process, here's where we are, especially for sellers right now. Sellers need help. We need to hold their hand. Sellers, a lot of them are hoping and praying that we're still in a market that we had and that we can still get over list price. They don't have to pay anything. They don't have to fix anything. And we have to nicely and gently sit in a listing presentation, say, here's what we're going to do to market your house. Now, here's what you're going to have to do on your end. You're probably going to get an offer that's going to be a little under. Are you okay with that? Because sellers are typically committed to one thing or another. They're either committed to getting the highest price I can or getting this baby sold. And you need to figure out which one that is when you're going in. Kind of the same thing with a buyer. Is a buyer serious? Do they really want to buy a house, or they want to use your gas to go around and look at houses? And if they can find a steal, they'll do it. But us now in this market, to be a consultant, to take people on a consultative approach when you're working with them, either as a seller or as a buyer, I think it's key. The other system, so hopefully, if you've worked with some people in the past, you do have some past customers and clients. Have you ever, for those that have been in the business for a while, have you ever driven by a house for a client that you sold them the house, everything was great, you guys got along great, and you see your competitor's sign in the front yard? And it's like somebody just kicked you in the stomach, because I've been there and I've done that. And as I drive away, feeling upset, I have to look back at myself and say, when was the last time I reached out to those people? When was the last time I stayed in touch? When was the last time I knocked on their door and did something? When I drove by, when I invited them to something? That's part of dealing with your past customers. It is so much easier, so much cheaper to be able to consistently follow up with a past customer and client and look to them for referrals than it is to find people that you don't even know. You can spend thousands of dollars, get hundreds of leads, and one or two may work out. Why not wine and dine and really work with those people that are your past customers and clients? One exception to that, if you really hated the people, let them go. Because more than likely them and their friends are going to be the same. So, it's really okay to just kind of stop communicating with a bad client and just go, that was a learning experience for me, never going back there again. But so that's my one caveat on working with past customers and clients. If it was truly bad, just really let it go. And if they call you again, just tell them, hey, I'm out of the business, but refer them to your competitor that you don't like. And, over at EXP, and say, hey, go over there. They have somebody that'll help you. Farming. Again, I kind of touched on this a little bit, but again, that's one of those systems. It doesn't pay off overnight. So for most new agents, we talk about going out and dealing with people, your sphere of influence, because those are most likely the ones that are going to hit you first. So whenever I have a new client, I tell them, sit down, make a list of people people your husband knows, people your wife knows, and let them know you're in the business. Because again, the other one that's going to hurt you is when you have a friend that says, hey, I just bought a house, and you go, hey, I just got into real estate. Oh, I wished I'd have known you just got into real estate. I'd have used you. So again, don't be a secret agent. Don't be a stealth agent. Be out there where people will know where you are. So when it comes to farming, again, there's many theories to farming. I'm not going to go deep into it. Most people tend to farm areas where they live because they know the people. They want to get to know the people. They can do that. I see other people who do two different things. They farm two different price points. So maybe they do a little bit of higher end over here and a little bit of the bread and butter over here. But again, consistency. If you're not ready to send those people something every month for at least a year, give me the money and I'll take you out to dinner and you'll do more than you ever would have the other way. If you're only going to send something once in a while, it's sporadic, it's not consistent, because it takes a while for them to know who you are. Even if you send them a postcard and they look at the front, they look at the back, it hits the trash, at least you've made an impression. They've seen your picture. Hopefully you're putting your picture on. And they see it month after month after month. And after a while, you begin to see that. You begin to see your farm paying off. So please, my big thing about that is Do it, be consistent with it, especially in this market. I don't care what market you're in, listings are always going to be king. That's once you have a listing, look at all the buyer opportunities you have off of that one listing. Now you have like a portable office. You have this house there and your name's on there and you can market it and you can sit there on an open house. People can come in. It's always going to be one of the key things you're going to want to try to do in your business. And farming is one of the great ways to be able to do that and do that consistently. I'll kind of take marketing and lead generation together, but they're different. So marketing is really just getting people to know this, because that's the one unique thing. I've had agents that go, I don't want my picture on my card, on my flyer, because I don't like the way I look. Well, we all have to look at you. So kind of get over that. Your client has to look at you. So there is only one thing on this planet that I know makes you truly unique, and it's this right here. So use it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be, don't worry if my hair is green one day and blonde the next day and red the next day. Most of this still stays the same, and that's the one consistent thing about you. So marketing is really getting that name out. So that, farming is part of that. Running little ads here and there, doing things like that just to get your name and yourself out there so people know who you are. That's kind of marketing. Lead generation kind of goes into a little more aggressive. That's where you're really calling people. So people that come to your open houses, we'll talk about that in a second. Calling, following up, those people that you haven't heard from in a while, call them. Even if they don't answer their phone, leave them a nice message. Something else you might consider doing that's maybe a little out of the box, take your phone rather than just texting them or rather than calling them, record a quick video. Hey, this is Tony. I wanted to make sure you know who I was. And, whenever you're ready, I'm here and I'm ready. You can send that in a text. You can send that in an email. Lots of ways you can send that, and your phone will do it because mine does it. And, or you can spend $500 a year for BombBomb, which is a great program. I used to use it, and it'll do it in a really good way. So again, if you're getting up in the morning, you're sitting, you're not sure what to do, if all you're doing is looking and talking to your computer every day, guess how many houses computers buy in a year? I'm pretty sure it's 0. You need to talk to people. So next, did I put open house? I didn't put open house, but let me do open house. I forgot to put that one on my list. But again, I don't know. And if you guys know of one, please shout it out. I don't know of a better way to get in front of a potential buyer than an open house. I truly don't. Probably the next best is to stand in the grocery store with your name badge on and have people walk up to you and say, hey, how's the market? And then do you have a response for that? But that's a whole nother story. But I truly don't. So if you don't have anything to do in a day, go sit in an open house. Or people, if you're sitting at home, that mean my time's up?
Oh, sorry, no.
Oh, whew. I was gonna say I'm not even done. So you have 2 choices in the day. I can sit home and I can look at my computer and I can figure out what's on the market, or I can go sit in an open house with my 8 open house signs up and my balloons and doing all those things, and I can still look and see what's going on in the market. And I may just have a buyer or 2 walk into that open house, and because they're not going to come into my house. I don't think you're going to have anybody walk in and say, I heard you were a real estate agent. Sorry you're in your pajamas, but how about showing me a house today? So again, there's usually always open house or houses around that are vacant or people are gone, whatever that happens to be. Truly, I don't care what day of the week it is. Do it in the evening, do it at lunchtime, do it whenever. But open houses are a key system that's going to work. I don't care what market you're in. Okay, now we can go next. Oh, you already did. So this kind of goes back to being a market expert. So when you are working with either a buyer or a seller, you really don't want them to know more about the market than you do. So when they start asking you questions, how's the market? Where's the market? What happened to that house down the street? What does Zillow think my house is worth? Because they all know. So if you're going into a listing presentation, and you haven't looked at what Zillow thinks it's worth, I don't do anything with that other than I know it because they know it. And that's something that I have to deal with. So it's part of knowing your market, knowing where things are, helping people coming into town understand here's where the schools are, and here's where the shops are, and here's just all of those kind of things. My wife and I, a number of years ago, thought about buying a house in Wisconsin. We didn't, but we thought about it. Oh, sorry. Wisconsin is a great place. Go Cheeseheads. And, but anyway, I was so impressed with this gal that we met with to look at houses. She knew the area. She knew everything about it. She knew every house sale in the area. I mean, it really comes across when you're sitting across from somebody, they know whether you know what you're doing or you don't. And truly that comes off. You can't wing it. So know your market. I'm not saying never spend any time in front of your computer knowing what it is, but you can't spend all your time there. Sphere of influence. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I think I already kind of talked about it. You know, this is your bread and butter. This is really what you want to nurture. But you want to go through your sphere of influence and really say, of all of these, who's going to be really my advocate? If somebody were to go up to this person and say, thinking about buying a house, they would be all over them to say, you need to use Tony. I mean, he's the only guy that you want to use. And when you have some of those, take them out to lunch, take them out to dinner, invite them over to your house. Those are the people that you really want to, you know, do something special for. But stay in touch with all of them. It's so hard to get those people in. Don't let those people go into somebody else's database. So I won't belabor that one, but I've seen it over and over again that I'll have agents that'll spend all kinds of times doing everything except calling and touching base with their past customers and clients. And then you get to the point where you go, I haven't talked to them in like 5 years. What am I going to say? I can't call them now. But truly you can pick up that phone and say, hey, I'm calling you to apologize because I haven't talked to you in a very long time. So let's catch up. And it can really be okay if you just own it, that you really stunk at following up with them. And you're doing it. Again, so much more business can come from people you already know and they like you and trust you than going out and trying to find people that you don't know. Next. Objection handling. So there's this two-word phrase that make realtors shudder and run with fear, and it's called role playing. But you have two choices in this business. You are going to get objections. You're going to get questions that buyers and sellers are both going to ask you. You have two choices. You can either practice on them, because at some point you have to answer that. So if you don't have a really good answer, you can stumble, you can bumble, and you can do it with them. And after enough of those and you lose enough of those, you finally get good at it. And now the next, you know, so you lost the first 10, but the next 10 you're going to be really good with. Or we can work as offices to handle some of those. And I'll just throw out a few. If somebody were to come to you and say, thinking about listing my house with you, but I have a friend in the business. You know what you're going to say already?
I do.
I know he does. Hey, so you're sitting in a listing appointment. Yeah, I really want to list my house, but I think I want to find a house that I want before I list my house. Do you know how to deal with that? Will you lower your commission? Probably never had that. People are probably saying, you want 6? I'll give you 7. I think you're worth it. Or those kind of people that go, sorry, I'm in a splash zone here. Those people that go, you know, I want to list it here because I can always come down. And the problem is, and I was showing this, I sent this out. If you guys watch my videos, I sent out a thing not very long ago that really shows, you know, when a house comes on the market, that's when it's hot. All of you guys have these searches set up and bing, it comes up in your search and everybody's looking and all that. Well, when your house is the hottest, everybody wants to see it and you're starting out up here and all of a sudden they don't want to see it. And then you start, well, okay, let's lower it. Statistics show they always end up selling for less than they would have if they'd have started right in the first place. So anyway, I shouldn't be answering these, but I can always come down as one that really bugs me. I'm interviewing other agents. So, you know, thanks for your presentation. Really like what you had, but you know, I've got 2 or 3 other agents I'm interviewing. So how do we deal with that? Or you tell them, I think your house is worth $450. Ooh, well, Zillow thinks it's $550. So how do you deal with that one? We only want to give a 30-day listing. You can't sell this in 30 days, which in the old market, you go, I need a 2-day listing. That's really, give it to me for 2 days, we're done. It's just, you know, put a sign in the yard and start looking at offers, but we're not in that market anymore. Another question that I think can be challenging for many of us is, hey, have you ever sold any houses in my area? Or have you ever sold any houses in my price point? So most of your houses you're selling 4, 5, 600,000 maybe. You get somebody at a 1.5 million says, hey, I want you to come over. So after your knees get done shaking and you go in, you walk in the door, can you handle that? How are you going to deal with that? Again, my whole thing on back to basics is, are you ready for all of these situations? Are you ready to meet with a seller? Are you ready to meet with a buyer? Are you ready to do farming? Are you ready? All of those things that were on my list. And are you ready to do them consistently? I think I'm going to stop. Did I have more slides? Oh, pricing and presenting the CMA. Yes, I forgot I threw this one in there. Again, I think this is key. When I'm pushing the idea of saying listings are really where your business wants to be at some point, it's okay to work with buyers. I'm not saying don't work with buyers, but it's listings. So I can have 5 listings. I can be sitting on the beach in LA and drinking my Diet Coke, and I can be sitting there and negotiating deals. If I have 5 buyers that all want to go see houses, I never go on vacation because I'm always showing these buyers houses. And especially in the market that we're coming into, because before you could show them 2 houses, now all of a sudden you're showing them 10 houses, 20 houses. Back in the old market, my wife and I had clients that we literally showed 100 houses to, because, well, maybe the next one is better. So yes, being able to really sit down in this market, and this is why I'm emphasizing this one, because of listings, being able to sit down in this market, sit down with a lister, help them understand, here's where the comps are. This is why you need to put your house on the market at a good price to begin with. Here's what to expect. You may have to come down a little on your price. You may have to, you may have to pay for repairs. You may have to do this. You may have to do that. But what's the end game? Help them always understand what's the end game. You want to move to Wisconsin. You're ready to get there. Your kids are there. Everything is there. The cheese is better there. You want to go to Wisconsin. I know it is. I've had cheese. The first time I ever had cheese curds. Yes. Yeah. My wife took me there and cheese curds. What's that? Pretty good stuff. I liked it. So again, be prepared, be consistent. That's my jive. Any questions? Mike.
You talked about the Forest presentation, White Wednesday webinars next month, 3 in a row, are all about doing those presentations, setting them up, getting them done. So be on those.
And I guarantee you, if you don't feel comfortable with the doors, you're never going to use it. You just never are. You're not going to use systems you don't know.
I have a question. So many of you may not know, but Tony also is the oldest Weichert franchise in Arizona.
In Arizona.
So what I'm assuming about 13 years.
That sounds about right.
Okay. So he's been using the Weichert tools and systems for 13 years. I think the next oldest one, I don't know, 6 or 7 years later. So in going back to basics, what are some of the tools that Weichert offers that you feel are some of the more valuable ones in helping us through a market like this?
So I'll address the doors directly because I've been in the market. So like I said, 43 years. So, 40 of those or 30 of those, I guess, were prior to Weichert. I've created so many listing presentations, you can't even believe, ooh, I'll buy this guy's listing presentation, or I'll create this one. I did so many of them that, and I just got tired of it. When Weichert came and saw me, I went back to New Jersey and they said, here's our systems. And I'm going, wow, that's the best listing presentation I've seen. And I've been doing this, well, at that point, 30 years or whatever. And I've not seen one this good. And I've never tried having a buyer consultation. And I've never had all of these tools that you're telling me I have. If I want to work expireds, there's a brochure for that. If I want to work FSBOs, there's a brochure for that. There are, when we opened as a Weichert office, I truly had to tell all of the agents, okay, we're going to have to take this a bite at a time because there are so many things here. We just have to take it a little at a time. But the first thing we did was we all got together as a group and said, we're going to hold one big, massive open house, and we're going to put every open house sign we have out, and we're going to let Gold Canyon know that Weichert is in town. And we just kind of took it from there. But yes, I bought the Weichert franchise for the tools that they have. And I'd created my own. I'd bought other ones. I go to NAR all the time. There's booths there that'll sell you listing presentations, buyer presentations, lead generation, everything else. And when I saw what Weichert had, I said, this is what I'm looking for. Good
Yeah,
question.
good stuff. Good stuff. And just to let you know, when I first bought my Weichert franchise, and I'm like, I would call Tony and I would say, dude, where can I find this? You know, don't be afraid to go to your broker and ask him about some things, some tools, some ideas that you might have, and what kind of tools that are supplied by Weichert. That Weichert University and my Weichert Tools is chock full of stuff that's going to help you. Mike.
And you're talking about going back to basics. How many of you have gone through fast tracks when you first got help? You know, you get to do that for free over and over again. So I recommend you revisit that. Not only they revamp some things, but it just might remind you of something you once learned and forgot.
Yeah. Any other questions? Sally, what do you got? I've done it twice. They changed it.
Yeah.
They changed it, and I hired a couple agents and I did it with them maybe a year ago. Yeah, and there's all kind. They have what's the other training they do for experienced agents? Success Track. You can do Success Track. You know, but I'm not talking about training. I'm talking about tools. You know, I mean, all of it's all good, but there are tools out there that'll help you launch your career in this new market. Okay, so it's back to me. Thanks, Tony. Big round of applause for Tony. Here's your note. Who doesn't love Tony, right? Gold Canyon. So again, one of the things that was changing drastically in this market is listings and how we're approaching those listings, right? So in the old days, you know, for all of us that have been licensed 3 years or less, for those old days, 6 months ago, you know, we would just do some coming soon stuff or whatever. But I got to tell you, now it's a challenge. Now we're going to have to work it. We're working the phones. We're calling people that have shown the house. What does it take? We're, you know, all that kind of stuff. But here's my challenge. I got a listing appointment. I'm rolling into it. And I know I got to be honest. This may take a month or 2 or 6 or whatever to sell, you know? So my thought process was, you know, in that situation, how do I be honest with this guy and not walk out of there without the listing? Right? Because there's always somebody up there that's going to do it cheaper and faster and for more money. Right? So how do I gamble? How do I roll the dice with that? Well, I always track the ones that I lose. Why? Because 100% of expired listings, if you ask the seller, why did they expire? 100% of them will say I had a lousy agent, when actually about 93, 94% of them are overpriced. So I'm back in there, right? So anyway, as far as a listing machine, Randy Courtney's the man. He's going to talk to us about some of the things that he's done in the past to set expectations with sellers in a changing market. Let's give a big round of applause for Randy Courtney out of Courtney Valley, Tempe, Arizona.
Thank you. All right, everybody hear me? What we need to do is first though, is just stand up. Everybody stand up. Just stand up. When you stand up, we've been sitting a long time. So just kind of start doing this. Up in your hands. Come on, let's get some action. Action. Oh, recording. News at 11. Okay. All right. Get that energy going. Getting hot. You feel it? Okay, now let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, wait, we're not done. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Right. Yeah. Okay, now the other thing that I want is we do this in morning huddle. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. Okay, I'm excited and full of energy. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy. Alive, excited, and full of energy. Okay, and what are you? Yes, I shifted gears on it. Nicole, what are you? I am a great salesperson. What are we? I am a great salesperson. What are we? I am a great salesperson. Damn it, we are good salespeople. Now you can sit down. This business is mindset. Bottom line. That's all it is. Bottom line mindset. And in this market, we have to turn up the heat. Because if we don't, we'll be selling ties at Nordstrom's or helping people wash their cars at the car lot or going back to the basic jobs, mundane jobs. So you clock in, clock out. The mindset we have to have. Thanks for putting my picture down, okay? Woo. You put that picture up, you have no bugs in your house, ever. I tell all my sellers that. When we go into a listing appointment, we have to have that mindset. We have to, I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting in my car and I always try to be early. You're 1 second late. Client's going, huh, what kind of agent is this? Doesn't respect my time. Can't even get his act together to be there. Thank you, sir. And the fact that in that car, before you hit that door, and I don't care. And sometimes I've had, like Jenny, been with me 16 years, Monica, 11. They're the reason I'm up here, actually, by the way. But in that car going, and I get a call, hey, you just had one escrow fill out. Oh, you had this this client that wants to cancel. And I'm like, that's information I didn't want to hear. So I'm going, okay, now is the time to focus on this listing. Because when I walk through that door, guess what? It's showtime. You're on stage. It's like you are the man, you are the woman, you are a great salesperson. And if you don't believe that, you should turn around and say, sorry to waste your time. I'm going to go sell ties at Nordstrom. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what's going on in our market. I started in '86. I walked into this Merrill Lynch Realty firm, and there was Jerry Humphrey, colleague, friend. And you know what was back then, what was going on? We were in a market that's changing today, just like today. This is my 5th shift in a market that it's really a normal market. When I started, we were selling houses, 11 and a half, 12. People are still buying. I didn't know any different. And I was knocking doors, and my goal was to get out and talk to as many people as I could every day. Talk to 100 people a day. That was my goal. Did I do it every day? No. But I talked to enough people to find the people that were ready for me today. And that's the mindset you have to have, that eye of the tiger, that drive to say, you know what, damn it, I'm going to do it. And not just sit back and go, huh, I tried. They said no. Got to wait and find somebody that is ready to do something today. And people, go, well, gosh, I just got in the business 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, even, 10 years or less. You're kind of still learning. I'm still learning. And I could learn a lot from you guys. So I appreciate the opportunity of being here. But knocking on the door, and it's like, this is like Ben Smith's area. I said, you didn't get the memo? There's a new sheriff in town. When do you plan on moving? So it's mindset. And it's like, reason we hired you, because your energy. You were young. We knew you would be like focused on our listing only. It's like, yeah, you don't want to go with the neighborhood specialist. They got 5 listings. I have yours. I'm going to focus everything on yours. This market, frenzied, next. We've all seen this. And those of you that have not witnessed anything else, next. The change. You go into a magic show, she tossed up his phone book, boom, ta-da! This is our market. Changed overnight. Next. Okay, so now is the most important time to get back to our clients, back to our sphere, back to our network of people that have the inkling of saying, you know what? That Weichert agent, she's really special. And if you're regularly contacting those people, guess what? There's opportunities. We have to educate them more than ever because the news is saying, hey, a bubble, we're in a bubble. There's nothing going on. We have to be the one to say, no, it's good news. It's a slight correction. There's still houses selling. Next. At the listing appointment, the expectation. The goal is obviously getting the listing. And you have to figure out, of course, before you go, hey, are you planning on interviewing more than one agent for the job of selling your home? Of course not. But you want to know that. Well, who else are you interviewing? When are you interviewing? You set this up beforehand, but we have to set the expectations in the listing presentation to make sure our sellers are on the same page as us. Next. Okay. And using data is so crucial to use data. You know, I have an open invitation with all of my agents. And this is true with probably everybody, every other owner in our region, is that if we have a listing appointment and you're going after a listing and you realize that somebody is going to be competing with that listing, I'll go with you. You reach out, you know, if like, hey, gosh, here's a luxury listing. I've never done this before. Yeah. Or, hey, it's one of my first listing appointments. We'll go with you. Because the chances of you walking out of there with that signed listing agreement are so much better. You're not alone. It's a family. So educate them. Looking at Crawford Report. If you don't have a subscription, your broker should have, but if they don't, get with your title company. You can do this. I use this religiously every time. It's like, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, did you realize what's happening in the market? Well, yeah, we've heard some things. Okay. Well, it looks like, look at month supply. And just last quarter, 0.9 month supply. And make sure they understand what the month supply is and definition. What does that mean? Well, if nothing was listed from today in less than a month, our inventory would be gone. Today, 3.3 month supply. It's important they understand what the trends are. Next slide. And then I use Rapid Stats. Your title company has access to this, but just saying, hey, you know, based on this and the changes, you know, active listings up 27%, you know, make sure the client understands what is going on and happening. Next slide. And then just using like what is at your fingertips, the stats on your CMA and making sure that it's an accurate rendering of, okay, well, let's see this overall average $302 a square foot, and my client wants 400. Think that's going to work? No, you have to bring them into reality and just educate them. You are the expert, and you have looked at, if we have time, I've looked at every comp, inside, outside, flipping through the pictures, going, oh yeah, because you can't, if you have time, preview them. On the actives, how many, you know, days on market, how many price reductions, showing the client, look, they started here, a reduction here, a reduction here. Look, they start here, reduction here. Is that what you want? Looking at the pendings and finding out from the agent, calling do your research, saying, hey, what'd you get? Did you get near price? I'm doing another analysis for a client. What can you tell me? Well, it's going to close this time, and it's going to close at this price. Some agents will actually tell you. And if they won't, say, well, how close did you get? Because we're trying to price it. It's a model match. The more education you can get, the better you are, and you're better prepared when they ask you, what about this one? Oh, well, let me tell you about it. I've seen it. I know it. I talked to the agent. It's going to close in. You are the expert. And so when you tell them, I talk to them about price, you're going, look, where do you want to spend your time? You want to spend your time here while the market is going like this. So the longer you spend your time here, the more you're going to lose in a market that's adjusting. Next. So from a listing lot, excuse me, I usually don't talk to big groups of people.
Can you go back on a slide on that?
I think you guys ought to take a picture of this one. This is a killer slide.
And this, this is from Keeping Current Matters. Great data. They're like the
I love that slide.
shilling. It helps people to realize that, you know what, you have to be in this bandwidth or below, because if you're not, you're missing the boat. You're helping to sell the competition. Is that what you want? No. You want it sold. So thanks. But at the listing appointment, you set the expectations that, you know what, this market's adjusting. We're going to try to price this where the price will cause it to sell. If it doesn't, in a week or 2 weeks or whatever that increment is, I'm going to call you to talk to you about what's going on and the price we are set on your home. If you don't, this is the fastest way to get expired listings, the fastest way to get canceled, because they want to talk to you, and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't talk to them. What do I say? How do I do this? You know, no, you have to find more data and see how it's changed since you listed it, even if it's just a week, because you can talk to them with about, hey, well, you know what, this has happened and we've got more competition. The thing we always do, and Monica helps me with this in the listing coordination, when you list that property, list and do the automated search for your client for that neighborhood or surrounding. That way, in the morning, you get up and you're notified and you go, oh my gosh, there's another, you know, I just had it happen in Rhythm. Got one over there. It's 685. And we are just talking to the guy. Look, we need to be at 675. 2 model match ones come on the market last night at 665. Now we barked back to a park with better upgrades, but I called them right away and said, hey, did you see that new posting? Yeah, I was just going to call you about it. We dropped to 675. Well, hang out. I said, well, we'll hang out there for about a week and watch these guys, because if they change anything, we want to know about it. So having that up-to-date education is crucial. If you don't set your client up with that and you don't have it yourself, you know, the last thing you want to do is have somebody call and go, you see the house down the street listed and it's a week, and you're going, yeah, okay, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up real quick. But if you have those automated searches set up and you are on top and you're on point, you can actually tell them, hey, if it's on the market in this market 2 weeks and hasn't sold, guess what? We need a price enhancement. We don't like reductions. So these are some points. You might want to take them down. It's just something I use every day. And obviously you can't just sit there with a client and say, and just go down through this whole list. Put them in your war chest. Your sales success is like, you know what? Let's enhance the price, because you know, we need to find the market. We need to find the market, because they call you sometimes like, well, what are you doing to get my home sold? It's like, you know, we're exposing it everywhere. We're doing our marketing, but the market hasn't responded. It's not you. And sometimes they like to say, you know, we're our agents not doing that. No, it's the market that hasn't responded. And if you're on the market and it's not selling, guess what? Do you want to help to sell the competition and continue with this price? Or do you want to get it sold? Bottom line, right? Let's go back to the question I actually asked you from the very first day we talked. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Yes. Yeah. Subliminal. Even if you're on the phone. Yes. Right? The fact that just reminding them, wait, what was your motivation? Oh, you wanted to get back to the grandkids in Wisconsin. Eat cheese curds. That they're reminding them, oh, you're 2 months behind on payment. Okay, we got to get ahead of this market. I would rather get your home priced at market and have the opportunity to turn down offers than to sit here wondering and waiting when something might magically appear. I love that line. I love that. Because it's like, and when you go in and ask, it's like, well, let's enhance the price to the next category. 25 or 50,000, which do you choose? Right? It is important, and I see this all the time. You can't take baby steps. People go, oh, I'm going to reduce the price. So there's 5,000. We're 675. Let's go to 670. You think, and you educate, every $25,000 increment is another pool of buyers that's looking for your house. And do you think agents are obedient? Of course. And you give your instruction to your agent, hey, I'll look up to 675, not a penny more. And you see listings that were expired at 679. Like, and you have an agent or a seller says, well, let's just kind of incrementally get it. Look, this market is moving fast. If we don't move fast, we're going to again be even farther behind the curve. So what will you do? 25 or 50? And sometimes they go, let's go 50. They choose, but you're there to be the catalyst to say, I'm doing my job. Like, well, yeah, you keep calling me to enhance my price. Your clients even get it, enhance your price. Like, that's my job. If I wasn't doing it, I'd be doing you a disservice. You want your home sold, right? Yes. Okay. So you have to be strong. You have to be the expert. You have to take that role as their advisor. And if they're trying to control you, you got to say, let's stop. Let's stop. You hired me for a reason, right? So let's do the right thing. Enhance your price, get it sold. Okay. So basically that's it. Didn't take too much time. Any questions? Yes.
What is your closing line or
Oh.
paragraph, whatever? How do you get them to sign?
Yeah, personally. Okay. Yeah, I'm there and going, well, okay, we talked about the pre-launch, the coming soon, the staging, and putting a sign on your yard. You know something? I can't get started until we have an agreement.
Yeah.
Simply sign here. We get started. How soon do you want to get started? And don't take that trap to say, well, I want you to kind of walk through me, through the house and give me some suggestions. It's like, I can do that once I have an agreement, but the state requires me to have an agreement before I can represent you. And not, plus on the higher end stuff, I pay a stager to come in 2 hours. She takes the dirty work and they hate her, not me.
That's a really good point. So expand on that stager a little bit. How to win that listing.
Well, one of the services I provide is basically, having a stager, a designer, because obviously you understand listing your home, it's not ready for market. You can't live in a house like you'd live in a model, correct? So our goal is to make it as much of a model, but you still livable. That's our goal. And most agents won't even bring that up. Isn't it true? Working with a true professional, I'm going to get your home sold. So
And that would bring the highest price, obviously.
absolutely, it sells faster and it nets you more when it's staged.
So for all of you that are looking, this is where I'm going with this. For all of you that are looking, and we've all sat in that listing appointment and they said, hey, how cheap will you work? Give me a commissionectomy, all that other crap, right? What is the feedback on that? And that can be one of them.
Sure.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to invest in your house. You invest in me.
Yeah.
I'm going to put $1,000 into sprucing up the plants out in front. We're going to do a deep clean for $500. That's a huge one. Huge one. Thanks for sharing that, Randy. Sal, do you have something?
Oh, yep. Correct.
Wait a minute. Every one of you guys should have two things in your car 100% of the time: a blank listing agreement, and a blank
Well,
contract.
it's a valid question. Was it Tuesday? Tuesday, I had it was hey, we're interviewing brokers, we're agents, and say, and she basically wants to move to California. And now, if I know it's a past client or somebody, I don't have any competition, I take it filled out, just ready to go. But I always take a blank ER as a minimum, because in that listing, it was like She's there, her daughter flies in, she's 92 years old, she's got a basement home and wants to move to California with her daughter. And you know, it's like, I set the expectations when I come in. It's like, you know what? I came here to educate you about the market and to tell you what we do to get your home sold. I didn't come with anything for you to sign. So it takes the pressure off. It's like, I'm just here, I'm working with you. We're a team. And then when, they get done, they're like, I got to do this now. I mean, why wait? I said, well, your daughter, how long are you in town? And you want to get stayed? Because she kept coming back to me, real world. It's like, but I want you to know, tell me what I can take and what I can't. I can do that as soon as we have an agreement. So just let me know when you want to sign. And she's like, yeah, I'm leaving Friday. It's like, well, we can do it now. Okay, let's do it.
I actually was sitting in a bar one time, it's about 6-7 years ago, watching the opening of the NCAA tournament on a Thursday. And this guy next to me was chatterbox. I signed him right there at the bar. I had a blank listing agreement in my car.
Always be prepared.
Always be ready to go.
So,
Randy, I like you a lot.
oh, thanks.
So
I had this other agent that. People do 5%. So.
Hey, everybody,
He's gonna do pretty much-
cool. Everybody knows their worth, right? So let me tell you what I'm going to do to sell your home. And once I get there, we can talk about commission, because commissions are always negotiable. Is that okay? Perfect. Because that's a big one. It's like a lot of times in newer agents too, people are focused on the commission. That's all they're focused on. It's like, oh, and
why?
well, because
they don't have any value.
they want to
for
net
your
the
job
most
is
they
to
can.
establish value.
Exactly. So my line is, and you could steal it because I stole it from another sales trainer that said, wait a minute, you want me to cut my commission? Okay. Well, you know, you're on page 10. I'm on page 1 of my presentation. So do you mind if I kind of show you what I do to get your home sold for premium? So when that discount comes up, that basically I'll net you far more than anything you're trying to save. Is that okay? Great.
That strategy, the last 3 or 4 listing presentations I've done, I used the Whiter listing presentation, and I used the same strategy that you just did. By the time I got there,
No
they
questions.
They just said, "So what do you charge?" They said 6%. They said, "Okay."
Let's do it.
There was no questions like, "Hey, can we negotiate?" We got through, here's the value, this is everything I'm gonna do to net you more money. There was no question of trying to take my commission down once we got there.
The thing that this market will do is will identify real quick the order takers between the salespeople. That's why all of you are great salespeople. Love it.
At the end of the listing presentation, I told an agent one time, because he kept getting, he was so quick to say, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll cut it. Yeah, I'll cut it. I said, I'll tell you what, ask him this question. Okay, ask him this question. You get through the whole doors presentation, they want to cut your commission. You just ask them this one question. What part of that listing presentation would you like me to not do? Right?
Yeah.
What part of that expertise, that listing presentation would you like me to cut? Because I get paid to do that.
Sally.
So I first got my. The very first listing, I don't think I was less than 6 months. It ended up expiring because they wanted the price too high, but I was that agent that you want to take a risk, because, you know, the conference won, right? And we let it expire, kept calling me every month, well, where's the market at? We relisted it, I redid all the paperwork, showed up with, like Aaron said, that 6%. Hey, here's all the paperwork, here's this one, it's like, I should have called, I'd have paid more. You just talked about that you had that situation. So I had to look at that very early on in my career, and if people are valuing me because they saw the value in me, why am I not valuing myself enough that other people do? And then to me, into that, well, I'm sure, again, right? Because I'm for a long time. Posture is that.
Couple months. Yeah.
But it is that mindset that yesterday. Here's the deal, how many of you go to your doctor, your attorney, and say, hey, your fees? No, because we know their value. You have to establish your value and know your worth and go and go get it.
Sally did get that guy to cross off that 6 and make it a 7.
Yeah, when he said that, I said, well,
Damn, that's it.
you can just
Good.
cross that out initial, and he did. I was like,
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate.
I got one last question. You sell my house?
Absolutely. When you want to get together? Tomorrow or Tuesday at 4?
Well, what do you guys think? Randy, the machine. The machine. This guy is the man.
I pay him a lot too.
So I think what I get out of this, and I maybe try and summarize it a little bit, is you got to go into that listing agreement with the confidence that there is nobody better to sell your house, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, than me. And that's what Randy does. That's what he does. And then he supplies them with enough value that at the end of the day, that commission negotiation isn't really there. You know, it's about adding value, right? Because you can hire an agent for 4%. She'll do it. She'll co-broke out 2 and take 2 herself and all that kind of stuff. And you know what? When you got to get a hold of her and she's not taking calls during yoga, or he's not taking calls during his golf, you know, what do you got, right? It's value add. Value add. I can't say that enough. In my office in Scottsdale, that's a big one. If you took a commission reduction or you didn't get that listing, it's because you didn't add value. What do we sell? What do you sell? What do you do for a living? What do you sell? Yeah, no, wrong. What do you sell? You sell your services, right? They pick the house. Make sense? They pick the house. You line up a bunch of houses and they go through and they take that one. I'll take that one, Bianco. Okay. What I'm selling you is the services. You start thinking about that and how you can perfect your services, you'll start winning listings and your percentages will go way up. That's what we do. We sell ourselves and we sell our services. Am I better than the guy on the golf course? Well, hell yeah. So one of the things that I think is interesting about Randy, and again, what was it, Randy? Maybe a month ago, I called him. I said, damn, I got this listing sitting around. And he, you know, he's a brother from another mother. So anyway, he looks at it and he gives me some advice. And sure enough, you know, he gives me that pep talk and I'm rallied up and I'm running out of the locker room, slapping the signs. I got this, right? And I had to go to my, which I don't have a problem making these calls, but I had to go to my seller for a price improvement or a price enhancement. And I was going in for 25, and what did he give me, Randy? 50. Thank you on that, Randy. And so anyway, so that's really what it's all about. And that's what I get from Randy. It's that confidence level when he walks in there and that seller realizes there is nobody better in this market to sell my house than Randy Courtney. And that's the image that we got to project, you know, right? All right, I'm here to talk to you guys about lead genning or prospecting. So quick question. How many of you guys have in the last year or two have had multiple offer situations and you lost? Show of hands. Everybody in here's lost to multiple offers, right? How many of you have had buyers where you've lost multiple offer after multiple offer after multiple offer actually leave the market? Say, shit, Chris, I'm going to stay where I'm at. I'm going to do all that, right? I got a question for you. There's a little document, and we used to do this a lot. Randy and I were talking about this last week, but there's a little document on zip forms. What do you need? Why don't we go out there? What if you called that same buyer, right, that left the market, and you said, man, let's have some fun. You want to have some fun? Let's go make multiple offers. Let's offer on 5, 6 different houses. Let's lowball the hell out of them and get what we want. You think that buyer would come back into the market? Would he like to punch that market right back in the face, right? Bloody their lip? There's a little document. What do you need? One of two things you need to do that. I'll let you know what it is. One is your client needs to be able to close on all 5 properties. So you probably need a pre-qual or, you know, proof of funds for $5 million, or you need to disclose it. Hey, we're making multiple offers. There's a document on zip forms that allow you to do that. So you throw out 5 offers, sellers sign one of them. It comes, say 3 sellers sign it. It comes back to you. You have to sign it again. It's similar to a multiple counter offer, except it's a multiple offer. And then wait for the counter to come back. Yeah, if you don't take it the way it is, we're going down the street to this guy right here. We're not doing that. I recently had a buyer in town. I sold her a house. It was listed at 1.1 million. I said, where do you want to start? She said 1.05. I said, oh, okay. She said, what do you think? I said, I think we can grab a counter out of them at 1.025. What do you think? And she goes, I'm relying on you, Bianco. You're the expert. I said, let's go in at 1.025. $75,000 price reduction. She says, okay. We ended up in escrow at 1.045, $5,000 below what she was willing to go at. She kissed me through the phone, thought I was the greatest thing ever. And then I went out and got her a $12,500 credit on repairs. That's the market we're in today. Right? We got buyers all over the place that are ready to jump back in this market. Now, I had another buyer who was worried about the interest rates. Right? We've had that conversation. Yeah, I'm worried about the interest rates. I said, okay, what if I did this? What if we got a big enough discount on the purchase price that it made up for the difference in the payment on the interest rate? I did that. Think outside the box. I'm not worried about the interest rate. I'm more worried about getting you a house as cheap as I can get it for you. Does that make sense? So I saved this guy 70 grand on the purchase price, and he was worried about a 0.5 point on an interest rate. His payment was actually cheaper had I not gotten that discount. That's a great conversation to have with people right now on the buyer's side. All right, let's get to prospecting strategies. My little handy dandy tablet here. There's no shortcuts in prospecting. I think Tony hit on it a lot. It takes 4 things. This is what I preach in my office: dedication, perseverance, consistency, and tenacity. I don't care who you are, what industry you're in, or what you're doing. If you master those 4 things, you will be successful, whether you're selling cars, whether you're Tom Brady and you're the best quarterback ever. You do those 4 things. You dedicate yourself to your profession. You persevere through the guy that tells you go to hell. Okay, I'll call you next week from hell. Okay. Consistency is the biggest one. So I got an agent comes up to me and he goes, Bianco, you got the greatest farming postcard campaign ever. Tell me about it. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, I'm going to put 5,000 postcards out. I said, well, good luck. Spend your money at the bar. And he says, why? And I said, if you're expecting to send 5,000 postcards out and you're going to get 30 leads out of that, you're stoned. It's a game of attrition. Zero that down to about 700 and do it once a month for a year and you'll get deals out of that. Okay. So it takes consistency. Tony touched on that a lot. I don't care if you're opening up My Weichert and you're working on it for 2 hours a day, and then you're going out and you're sending out postcards. You got to do it with consistency or it just flat out won't work. It flat out won't work. If Tom Brady doesn't practice 4 days a week, how good do you think he's going to be on Sunday? It's about consistency. And then the tenacity that says to you that you know that you'll get this done. That when you're in it to win it, and you have that mindset from Randy, and you're doing it day in, day out, you're hitting it, you're going to have that tenacity that I don't care what happens. I don't care if I get hit by a train. I'm going to make those 20 calls today. I don't care if whatever. I coach an agent in Massachusetts, right? #1 Keller Williams agent in Massachusetts. She does 2 things for prospecting. That's it. She makes 50 calls a day, and she handwrites letters or cards, anniversary cards, birthday cards, happy Easter, whatever it is. She puts out about 60 or 70 cards a day to her database. That's all she does. And I don't care what comes up. She's having a baby in the hospital. She's making those 50 calls that day. I've talked to her and she's like, I got to go. I got to start my calls. I got to tell you, if you ain't on the phone, you ain't winning. Why do we make an email? Why do we send an email out? Why do we send a text message out? Get a response. When we get a response, what are we after? What are we after? Ultimate goal is to get face to face with somebody. Right? I'm texting somebody because I want to see them. I want to put them in the car and show them houses, or I want to get in their living room and get the listing. I got to get a face to face. Look at your prospecting as a ladder. I'm texting here. I'm doing this, to get to the next level. I had an agent who didn't make it in the business. We have them I always try and get their name badges, and I have the graveyard, so I hang their name badges in my office, right? Anyway, and this guy, and we were doing calls, right? We all got in a group. We were sitting in the office. We're all making phone calls, da-da-da-da-da. We had the FU bell. Every time you got one of those, you rang the bell, it's great. All I could hear this guy do was schedule another call. I said, you do that and you'll lose. Get to an appointment. And he would sweat and I got to get on the phone. You want to know the easiest phone call to make? Who said they have a hard time making calls? Here's a great call to make. Do an open house, circle dial, and invite them to a party. You're not selling them anything. That's the easiest way, and one of the big ways that I teach some of my newer agents that are struggling with making calls. Just say, hey, we're doing an open house tomorrow. We'd like to see you. Talk to you in a bit. I didn't sell them anything. That'll get you used to picking up the phone and calling. Get into the habit of making calls. That's just that you're not going to win the game. Okay. And if you think you're a salesman and you're not making calls, you ought to reflect on what you're doing. Adding value to a message. I think Mike hit on this. So I had an agent come in. He says, Bianco, I'm sending out my text messages. I'm doing my squeeze pages. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing all the push-ups. I'm doing all the sit-ups, but I'm getting nothing. These people aren't calling me back. They're not texting me back. They're not responding. I said to him, that's easy. It's the message. Got a bad message going on there. So I've said this before in training. I'll give you the Walmart analogy. I'm going into Walmart to buy a TV, right? I walk in the door and that guy goes, hey, welcome to Walmart. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. The guys, if I walked into that Walmart and the guy said, welcome to Walmart, the TVs are in the back corner, I'd probably do something like, what? Really? Where? Okay. If I walked in that Walmart and the guy says, hey, welcome to Walmart, the TVs are in the back corner and the Samsungs are half off, he sold me a TV. Add value, right? Change the message. There's no value in the message. So we sat down, we pulled open his KV core, and I said, hey, while we're talking, I want you to do something. You guys can try this tomorrow or later today. It'll work. And I said, click on them, mass text, 100 people, right? And I said, we're going to keep talking, but I want you to do this right now. And he said, okay. And I said, just put in there, hey, is this bracket first underscore name bracket question mark. Send it out. You send it out. So we're talking about what he can do. And now his phone starts blowing up. Yeah, who's this? Yeah. Now you've engaged. Did you get a response? Yeah. Think of the message. Are you adding value? So when some of my agents walk in and they say stuff like, man, I'm working this guy, I say one thing to them. Welcome to Walmart. Welcome to Walmart. Separate yourself. What makes you better? Hey, you want to know what your home's worth? Welcome to Walmart. They already know. They got Zillow. Hey, would you like me to send you some properties? Welcome to Walmart. They know. They got Zillow. How do you add value to your business? How do you add value to yourself? You do that and you'll win over more prospects. Hey, would you like the top 10 things? People love lists. People love lists. How many people in here read the number of billionaire athletes out there? I always look at that list. Jordan and LeBron James is coming, right? Top 10 cities to live in. I wonder if I'm selling real estate in one of those cities. I look at that list, right? Put a list together. Top 10 things that'll get more money for your house, right? Value add. And when you do that, I got to tell you, I was talking to Randy one day. Randy and I spent a lot of time together. We were going to California, and I got something out of him on that drive down to California. And he said to me, he says, and I thought this about property boosts, right? We know what those are, my Weichert. Property boosts. And he says, yeah, when I get one of those guys, they say, yeah, you like that property? When do you want to see it? I got time on this day, at that time, and that time. And I'm thinking, man, you cut out the chatter right there. There's no way for that guy to get out of answering that. I love that. So what's the biggest value you can add? What's the biggest value piece that you add to a potential buyer or seller? I don't think so. Time. When you're ready, I'm ready. Time. So when I'm going through my Weichert and nobody's responding, they're not ready for timing. Okay, I'll give you an example of this. I did an open house, right? That was about 6 months ago. And that's right, I do open houses. I'm not above that just because I have a tag that says broker. I do work my ass off. So anyway, so I'm over there and I do what I call the Bianco 333 on open houses, right? So I'm sitting on this house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-story with no pool. So I find 3 reasons why somebody won't buy that house, right? Because that's what we got to ask them. Hey, you want to buy this house? By the way, let me preempt this. I had an agent that came on the open house because her business wasn't busy enough. She said, I'm not getting enough deals. I said, well, I'll give you all the leads out of this open house. She says, yeah, no problem. So we go to this open house. So I find 3 reasons why somebody won't buy that house. In this particular listing, it was a 2-story. Maybe they want 1 story. So I looked in the neighborhood, right? Found a bunch of single stories, 3 single stories that fit the price point. And I print those listings. Then I find 3 reasons. One was it didn't have a pool. I find 3 houses with a pool. Make sense? Print out those 3 listings, maybe 10 copies of each. And then the other one was a 4-bedroom. Lady walks in the door. She walks in. It's got this long walkway. Living room's on this side, back to the back of the house. She walks in about 8 steps. And she says, hey, Bianco, does this house have a pool? I said, no, it doesn't. She says, hey, got to have a pool. Started to walk around out. I said, I got 3 houses right here that have a pool within the neighborhood in the same price point. You want to see them? Whoa, she stops. Right? This is a time. This is about time. And when they're ready, you're ready. So she looks at him. She goes, oh, this one's kind of nice. I go, you want to see it? She goes, yeah. Whip out my trusty phone, pull open my app that we all have on MLS. I book the appointment for 15 minutes from now. It dings in confirmed. I look at my agent and I say, hey, take this lady and show her that out. She says, oh, I'll sit at the open house. You show it to her, Bianco. Now, you think you know what's coming, right? I sold her the house. False. We went and looked at the house, and she says, I don't like it. She says, I really like this house. I was at an open house last week at it, and I really want it, but there's something wrong with the pool. And I said, okay, let's book that. I booked that one. We drove over to that one, right? And I said, if you could get your hands around what's problem on this pool, would you buy this house? She said, yeah. I said, if you get the seller to fix it or credit for it, would you buy this house? She says, yeah. I sold her that house. $900,000. The point to that story is, the point to that story is that she was ready to look and buy right then. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after my golf, not after her yoga, right then, right now. That's the value I added to her. She didn't know me. I didn't have a relationship with her. I never texted her. I never emailed her. She wasn't in my database. But the value that she got from me that day was, I'm ready when you're ready. Let's go. So some of the pieces that I've done in the past, I'm going to throttle this back a little bit when we talk about prospecting. How many of you guys send postcards out or some kind of direct mail? Okay, how many people stand at the garbage with all that junk mail, right? I'm going to tell you a couple different things that I've done that'll help hang on to that. Okay. I've done a couple postcards and I'll challenge you to find this, but went to a neighborhood. I farm, went into one of the neighborhood restaurants, said, hey, give me a deal. I'm going to put 500 postcards out in your market and give me a deal. Half off the next entree. Right? whatever. First, sodas are free or whatever. I'm telling you right now, I would say 9 out of 10 restaurants will give you something. Okay. And I put a little thing in there and it was like half off the next entree with this postcard. Guess where my postcard ended up? Not in the garbage can, but in the back seat of their car, right? Those are great tools. I did one a few years ago where the restaurant had on Sundays, I think $2 Bloody Marys. I said, first Bloody Mary free, come watch football with us. It was a sports bar. I had about 15 or 20 people there. I sold 2 houses out of that postcard. You know, football season's coming up. Hey, you know what? $2 margarita, whatever. Those are some things that you can do to enhance your postcards because everybody sends them out. Get outside the box. Think like an entrepreneur because each one of you are, and think about what more can I do to separate myself from the other 8 postcards they're getting this week, right? Why are they going to keep mine? I can tell you, most of you guys are better looking in here than I am, so why would they keep mine? Okay, another thing you can do, and we've done this before, I did it out in a subdivision and got a listing out of it, was why send them? Let's walk the neighborhood. How many got a dog? Take your dog for a walk around the neighborhood and put them on the doors yourself. I proved this to an agent of mine. He said, I got to get more leads. And I said, okay, we're going to do I think we did 800 postcards, pretty good size area in the neighborhood up in North Phoenix, off of Cactus. And I said, I'll do it with you. I'll walk shoulder to shoulder with you. Keep your phone on. I'd knock on the door and they go, yeah, I'm thinking about listing. Hang on. I'm just helping my agent out. I'm the broker here, but my agent is a neighborhood expert. I call him up, get your ass over here. This lady's ready to go. And we're bouncing back and forth all over. And he got, I think, 2 listings out of that. But if you are able to go out there and walk it, and what are you doing when you walk it? You've bypassed text messaging, emails, phone calls. You have secured a face-to-face. Does that make sense? I got to tell you, you know, after everything I went through last year, I still got weight to lose. And I don't mind walking those 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 steps. See, put something extra in your postcards. So I have an agent that does them, and she puts out like seasonal drink recipes, plant a tree day, you know, things like almanac things. Okay. She asked me to go on a listing appointment. It was about 3 months ago in that farmed area. Now she didn't get the listing because they decided not to sell, but we went on, but they were eager enough to call us in to find out what we could do. I went and she was scared to death. First listing appointment, went with her. And what did I see on the refrigerator? About 6 of her postcards. That person was saving them. It's time. It's time. It's time for you guys to start investing in your business. And I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about the dollars. Spend some money. So when it comes to direct mail, for all of you guys that love direct mail, and I do, I think it works. I think it's a game of attrition, but I think it works. There are a couple different ways that you can do it. How many of you know what EDDM is? Every door direct mail. Okay, great piece. It's bulk mailing. The postage on it is like 20 or 21 cents a parcel, as opposed to whatever it is now, 48 or 50, 52. I don't know what post. We have a meter. I don't know what it costs. But you can also do, I've got a guy and I'd be happy to share him with you. His name's Tom, the postcard guy. He's a retired vet. He has other retired vets that are fitness oriented that will walk them for about 17 cents a parcel. If you work with your title company, generally speaking, you can get 500 postcards a month free, maybe up to 1,000. And so if you're doing that, at 700 postcards at 17 cents a parcel, it's $85 per drop. Over the course of a year is about $1,020. That worth it? NAR says that for every postcard you drop, you have a higher percentage of getting a referral from that postcard than actually working with that postcard. So it's also a referral program as well. Prospecting in today's market also includes KV Core. I said it earlier in the opening thing. If you guys ain't using it, you ain't winning. A lot of the times the analogy I use with my agents is I gave you the pole position at the Indianapolis 500 and you rolled in a covered wagon. Is that what you're going to win the race with? Because I got the race car that'll do it. It's called KV Core, my Weichert. Okay, there's a million different ways to use that tool. For those of you that were here, what was it, in February? I did a big training on it. That's hung on my YouTube channel. You can revisit that and see the training, how to do 40 deals in a year using KV Core. Another good one, and again, what I try and do, and I try and focus on with my agents is bypassing the, we all have to do the text messaging, email, and phone calls, but the whole point to that is to get to the point where you're at a face-to-face. So some of the things that you can do to bypass that to get to the face-to-face is community involvement. Okay. I tell you, you know, in the past, I don't do it much anymore, but in the past, I have actually advertised on McCormick Ranch's website, HOA website, put a little thing in there, some of the periodicals, things like that. People are reading that stuff, you know, especially in retirement communities. That's all they do is sit around and look at the rules online. So, you know, go to the neighborhood yard sales, visit them. I know that I was, when I was selling my mother's house, they had she lived in Anthem and she had a yard sale and I was helping her with it. She was older and we were getting her kind of settled in. And a guy rolls in with this Jeep completely wrapped in I sell Anthem stuff. You know, I'm a realtor and, you know, and that's what he was doing. There's an old school one that I did with an agent of mine. And I said to him, he'd come into the office every day, young guy, came into the office every day, 9 o'clock. He was there till 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And I said, all right, here's the deal. I bought him 1,000 business cards. You've all heard this one, wrapped it up into bulks of 10 with a rubber band. I said, don't come in the office tomorrow if you still have one. You got deals out of that. Door hangers are always kind of good because they bypass the mailbox. So at the end of all of this, what I can tell you is, and the message I would give to you is get beyond the basics. Get yourself separated from every other agent out there. I've told you how to separate yourself with postcards, right? A couple different ways. Put a coupon on there. Offer, I mean, I think I did the Bloody Mary thing. It cost me $40.
Say that one more time. Actually, so postcards that go to a local restaurant, you say, bring this card in for blah, blah.
Right. I go to a restaurant. That's what I did on the football stuff. That way I'm meeting people. Yeah. And then I would go to the, you know, I'd go to the restaurant and say, hey, how many postcards do you got? How many times do you use that discount? You know, find out, oh, we used it 40 times or whatever.
They come in at this time to get this.
Yeah. Watch Sunday football at this restaurant. First Bloody Mary's free. The guy was doing $2 Bloody Marys. I think 15 people went in. So it's $30. And they were holding my postcard. Oh, that's me. I'm on that picture. How you doing? Right? So at the end of the day, that is getting outside the box. That's separating yourself. That guy's throwing that stuff away in the garbage can, or that woman, and she goes, oh, boy, I eat there all the time. I like to watch football there, right? I got to hang on to this. All right, I'll do it. Make sense? Now, it works. I had a guy do it at a golf. He lived on a kind of a ratty old golf course in Tempe, public golf course. And he did some kind of 19th hole thing or whatever and bought everybody a beer that brought the from his subdivision. Yeah, $100. What does it cost, you know? All right, here it is. Bottom line, I have a gift for each one of you. Don't stand up and look under your chair. It's not Oprah. Okay, not a car. But what I talked about was everything that we do prior to a face-to-face, that's the goal. I believe every one of you guys in here getting in a room with the confidence level that maybe close to the confidence level that Randy has will win the listing. I believe that every person in here can sell 20, 30 houses this year. You just got to let them know you're out there. They don't know you. They haven't met you yet. So the challenge to you in prospecting is meet people. I used to say to my agents when they walk in, what the hell are you doing here? Not making money, I'll tell you that. Get your ass out of that chair and go find somebody to talk to. Right? Oh, I'm just wrapping up my Weichert. All right. But here's the gift. If I said to you that I have a lead program that has 81% success rate, that'll put you face to face with potential clients 100% of the time, that 73% of those people will do a real estate transaction within 6 months. And it costs nothing. It's free. Would you do it? What do you think it is? Open houses. 81% of buyers in the United States today have been at least to one open house. You are guaranteed a face-to-face with 100% of them. 73% of those people that enter that open house will do a real estate transaction within 6 months. How many have done an open house in the last month? Very good. The rest of you step up or look out. Tony always in the nation always had the most open houses every month, right? He presses open houses. They are tried, true, get back to basic, prospecting, engaging, all the topics that we talked about, right? Sally hit on client engagement. Tony talked about getting back to the basics. Randy talked about confidence and motivation and mindset. Put your mind to it and you'll be successful at open houses. 81% of buyers have visited at least one open house nationwide. The other 9 or probably 19% are relo. 73% of them will do a real estate transaction within 6 months. Any questions? Because I'm done.
What would be the book you would recommend for selling?
Just on selling? Oh, there's a million of them out there. You know, a lot of that stuff, books and even things like this, when we get together, there's 10 pounds of crap and hopefully you walk out with about 3 pounds of knowledge is what we shoot for. Anything you can do, come see me. You know, I mean, whatever. I can motivate. I can get you out there. I mean, I'll get you walking neighborhoods. I'll do it with you. That's what we do. That's what your broker should do. I like, there's a couple out there. What was the one we just read, Randy, for Saw Session? That was a good one. The Atomic Habits are pretty good. And I'd be a kind of guy, honestly, to be honest with you, that'd say my favorite book was the last one I read. You know, I get all jazzed up about them. You know, what is it? 7 Habits of, yeah, that's another good one. Compound Effect. Those are all good books and they get kind of outside sales. Again, keep in mind that, you know, you just keep your eyes open. The market is forever changing, right? It's changing now. 72 sold, now changing their name to 73 sold, right? They need some extra time, right? I always thought a great business model would be just to go out there at 71 sold. I'll do it better and faster than him. But, you know, it's always changing. Keep your eyes open, whatever you can do. What I can tell you about prospecting in today's market, just find 3 streams. KV Core, open houses, direct mail, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. But each stream, and I'm not even going to use the word cold calling. I'm going to use the word warm calling, but picking up the phone is not a lead generating system. It's a component to each one of those lead gen programs. You get a hit, whether it's on KV Core, you better pick up the phone. You get a hit at an open house, you better pick up the phone. It's not a lead generating system. It's a component to exacerbate each one of those systems. Does that make sense? Sally? Yeah. Remember what I say, and that is there are 20 or 30 people in your market that want to buy a house using you. The problem is they don't know who you are yet. You've got to let them know. All right. Any more questions? All right, let's bring up Aaron. Aaron's going to run our agent panel.
Card in here for the OI, please make sure, hold it up so I can grab one.
And the other thing, as we pull up some of these agents and sit down and do a round robin, if you have to use the restroom right now, it'd be a great time to slip out and do that.
All right, guys, I at least learned one thing today that can help your business. Hopefully you guys all get at least one idea, right?
You like that piece, huh? You like that one? What'd you learn, Nicole?
Right? So the reason why we're doing this is for that exact reason, right? We want to help you guys with your business. We want to help grow your business. I don't know if Randy remembers this, but about a year ago, I was having a conversation with Randy. I'm like, hey, Randy, how do you like your signs with your face on them? And he said something to me that stuck because I never put my face on my signs. I never put my face on my cards. And he said, why aren't you? He goes, you want everyone to see your face. I'm like, really? This? You know? But that resonated to me. And the very next day, I went and ordered new signs with my face on them. I got business cards with my face on them. Everything I do now, I put my face on them for what Randy said. Okay? When you guys are doing business with people, who do they want to do business with? Someone they know, like, and trust, right? Tom Ferry, recently I saw a quote by him that said, the more people that see your face, the more likely they're going to trust you. The more times they see your face. So get your face out there, whether you like your face or not, get it out there, right? So that's something I took from Randy a year ago. So hopefully you guys take something out of this that will help your business and do something for your business. So what we decided we wanted to do is, instead of just hearing from us brokers, we thought it'd be good if you guys heard from some of your peers and some of the agents in the offices and what they're doing with their business to help them be successful. So we decided to do an agent panel. So we're going to do the Bob Barker Price is Right. You know, you're getting called up, right? We didn't have chairs to grab. So if you guys, when you come up, will you just roll your chair up here? Or you can sit up here. That's fine, whatever works. But first, our first agent is Mike Litticoat from Peoria. So Mike, come on down. Right? Okay, we'll do that. I don't know where Mike is. Oh, there's Mike. There's Mike.
So there's a few that have like markings on them, which means they use somebody else's
Okay.
card. So
Okay. All right, Mike, come on down. Okay. And then Mike's from Peoria. From Courtney Valley Wide, we have Julian Hapes, Nicole Courtney, and Tim Boyles. Okay. From Gold Canyon, we have Jeannie Dexter. And from the Gilbert office, Sherry Smith. Okay. So first of all, you guys should thank them because they all agreed to do this. And so we're grateful that they all came. So the way that we're going to do it is, if you guys, if you guys hear something that you like or you want a question about, hold it till the end. We're going to go through some questions. If you have stuff, just write them down at the end. You can go back and ask a specific agent about their questions. So I'm not going to have you guys all answer the same questions. I'll probably have a few of you answer. If there's something you really want to share, just let me know because we want to hear it. But real quick, 10 seconds, tell us how many years you've been in the business and approximate GCI last year. Mike. I told him the office already, but Mike's from Peoria, so go ahead.
Yeah, Mike Real Performance, been in the business 11 years. What's my GCI? I don't
Last
pay
year.
attention.
Last year? Okay, so somewhere in,
I just keep going until she says I can stop selling.
he's over $1, so we're good. All right, Nicole. Yeah, approximate. Nice. Good. All right, Jillian.
Telling you, white girl, really mind, I've been in the business for 5 years this month, and the GCA take home was like.
Okay, that's fine.
That's
Gives
fine.
them a good idea of perspective. Thank you. All right, Tim.
Well, I've been in the business 4 months less than her, 5 months less than her. Last year, my GCI was, 173.
Awesome. Good job. Okay, Jeannie.
I've been, I'm with, Wiker Filters. And I've been in the business for 20 years, and, last year, I think I was 274.
Good job. Very.
I'm with White Home Pro Realty. I have the Gilbert office. I've been in real estate for 15 years, and I don't trust my GC.
She got a pretty big award last year, so it was,
How many guys have been on stage?
yeah, you guys all got awards, so you guys know. So we have a pretty good variety of agents and experience and different things you do. So first, I want to start with a new licensed agent's perspective, okay, when they first get in the business. And maybe Tim, Nicole, and Jillian might be better for these questions because you've been in the business a little bit less in the years. But as a new licensed agent, how did you generate your business in the beginning to start?
I'll
Go.
tell about my first deal ever.
Okay.
Because everybody's so scared about getting that first deal. And I really, nose to nose, toes to toes is something Randy always says. So like, we've all talked about getting face to face. So my mom worked at an accounting firm for 30 years at the time. And so they said, Mom, I'm gonna come visit you today at your office. And she's like, what are you gonna do? I said, I don't know really what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring in some business cards. Maybe you could leave them in the office and whatever. And so I met with one of my mom's, workmates or whatever that she had been in the business with for forever. And I'm all dressed up and I'm in the only outfit that I owned that looked nice at the time. And my mom's friend says, well, what are you dressed up for? So, well, I just went into real estate. I'm super excited and I left some business cards. She ended up being my first deal.
Nice.
You never know who you're impressing or, and she actually came to me and said, hey, I have this house that I want. And I didn't have to really do a hell of a lot, to be honest. But you just, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. It does, like, get out of the realm of like, it does not matter who you're talking to.
So that would be like an example of handing a business card to somebody. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, and I went to my mom's office, I'm like, well, I don't know really what to do now, and she's like, okay, and so it's like, hey Cindy, how are ya, and then that's, honestly, that was my first
Awesome.
deal.
Good job. Tim, Nicole, anything?
Yeah, my kid was in scouts and of course as a dad, he was a scout leader and all that fun stuff with him as he went up in the Boy Scouts. Our headmaster was, my first deal and he knew that I was, just in the real estate. So, I went and talked to everybody just like this in front of the council meeting and one of the other scout leaders came up and said that he's selling his house. We sold his house and got him into another house. He was my first deal. And then
Wait,
it's,
so that's community
Chris.
development?
Chris, hold on, let him go. Hold on.
and then the next one, I started, that very next month, I went into the Chandler Chamber. I started that. I've been in the chamber. I'm an ambassador for the chamber. I've got 3 deals out of the chamber itself. People just keep coming up now. Showed Jillian, just got a referral from the chamber as we walked in here.
I've done like, this year I've
Yeah.
done 4 deals with the chamber,
Chamber.
and I have one in escrow right now from the chamber.
Awesome.
Join your chamber. I don't care if there's 5, 15, or 30 agents in there. There's 700 lenders in the chambers. Who cares? Get in there because you get out and meet other people.
There's an idea, okay? Cool.
So I guess when I started, I was 20, so it's been a weird time to get started. And I asked my dad, well, where do I get all these leads and where do I get my first deal? And he's like, well, start with your sphere. So, I mean, I tried that, but being 20, I knew mostly 20-year-olds who didn't have any money and they couldn't buy houses. And so I was like, okay, well, what else can I do? And so I went to him and he had a bunch of leads that were just sitting in the databases. No one was marking them. He gave them all to me. So I would just spend hours just on the phones, cold calling some more. So that's how I got a lot of my first people was cold calling. And then the Zillow leads that we partnered with where we get the calls, then they wanted to go see houses. I go show it to them right away. That was how I built most of my client base. And my first deal was actually a renter that I turned into a buyer. I asked the office for the rental leads just for practice, get familiar with showing houses and the basics. You don't really make much money on the rental. If you've ever done one, you probably make like $100. So it's not really good money, but I just started asking questions to these people and I said, you know, hey, you're a dentist. Can I ask you why you want to rent right now? Is that, you know, is that where you want to, does that make sense for you in your life right now? And he was like, no, not really. I'd like to settle down somewhere. And like, have you thought about buying? He's like, not really. Like, do you want to talk to my lender? Yeah, let's do it. And so I turned him into a buyer and he bought a $432,000 house. So that was my first sale.
Awesome.
So that was
Good job. So she wasn't afraid to get on the phone in the beginning, right? We talked about getting on the phone. Okay, she wasn't afraid to do that. I don't know. Some of my agents, my office know I've opened up my database at times for new agents that said, hey, I don't have anywhere to start. I'm like, here you go, start calling leads. Guess how many get called? Not very many. You know, even when it's in front of them, they won't do it. So the fact that she took it and ran with it is awesome. So thank you guys for sharing. Hey, did you guys have anything to add to that? Are you guys good? Because I have some more questions.
Sphere.
Okay, we try to start with fear. So along the sphere part of it, and maybe Jeannie, Sherry, and Mike can go off of this one. What do you guys do to stay in front of your database? You guys do anything special or for your, Okay.
FRE.
okay, social media? Any of you guys want to add your sphere,
Me,
your
it's in
database?
My calendar every day. I am in KV Core in my Weicker every single day. I have tasks. I mean, that's how I stay in front of that database. Every day I'm in there reaching out. And I mean, when I first started, I worked 60 hours a week in the car business and did real estate. So staying in front of that database is what it took.
Okay, I know Jeannie's been in the business longer, and I know you have a method that you use for your database. What do you do? Okay,
And more so really just for the CRM. I mean, I get coaching and that kind of stuff as well. But the CRM and the letters and the cards have been huge for me, especially the last 2 years. So and it's not wildly expensive. So that has really worked for me. And it gives out a good quality touch every month. So that's I think valuable as well. Secondly, which I'm gonna vamp up more, if anyone knows me, I'm a touchy-feely, I love you, I want to hang out with you person. So with everyone, I mean, I try to schedule coffee, try to schedule lunch, try to schedule a movie, try to schedule just hanging out. And a lot of times people love that. And of course, I can't be a secret agent, so I have to let them know that I'm a realtor, so.
So that you can write it off.
okay. So one thing, everyone does things different, right? She does things through Buffini because that works for her. You guys all have to find your own niche, what works, right? And this works for her. She likes the stuff that she gets and sends out and stays in front of her database. So find something that you like that works for you. Sherry, anything that you like to do for your people?
So I have a database also. And I put dates, anniversary dates, especially the 1-year anniversary of when we closed on a house. And then every year I touch my clients on a 6-month and then a year. And then on Christmas and holidays and stuff. So, and I do a lot of handwritten notes. I'm not out of control. So I do
Good.
that and I want them to, I mean, how often are you getting a personalized note in your mailbox? I mean, that is so rare. So I know that when I get a thank you card, I appreciate it. I think you're gonna get this question, but most of my business is referral based groups like Richard Clemens. And, so I'm really big about that spirit. They are my business. And so I'm constantly, and I send thank you cards to the person that refers me to my clients. So remember to thank the people that are referring, because that's huge. It goes a long way.
Good. I don't know how many of you guys use thank you cards, but it's a good way to do business. So that's another good idea. If you're not, you can go to your title company, have them make you thank you cards with your picture and information on the inside, write them up, mail them out. All right. So another good idea. Good. Yeah.
And it's also go in my folder. As soon as I finish the listing appointment, I have a thank you card in there that I handwrite. I put it in and I stick it right in the mail as soon as I'm done. Just saying, thank you for inviting me in. Thank you for choosing to meet with me. I have had so many clients say, no one does that, Jeannie. We got a thank you card from you just for meeting with us. No one does that. It is the easiest, most like intentional thing that you can do from a listing point of view.
Good. Okay. This is going to be for any of you. So just let me know who wants to take this on. But what is your 30 to 45-second elevator pitch when someone approaches you about doing business? Who wants to go?
Have a slogan of some kind or some script. If I'm going and talking to anybody about real estate, doing anything, and I think Bianca touched on this earlier, when you're ready to move, I'm ready to help you. When you're ready to move, not me, when you're ready to move, I'm ready to help you, no pressure from me, ever. I'm never gonna pressure you into doing something you don't want to do, but when you're ready to move, I'm ready to help you. And that resonates with people, but then it rolls around, and then when you're not with them anymore, it kind of still is rolling around.
Who else? Someone approaches you. What's your pitch?
I would also add to that, I throw out there that I'm a full-time agent because I work with so many part-time agents on the other side of the deal. It's obvious that they're a part-time agent, but I can deal with them. And I feel like being a full-time agent and using that, if you're in this business day in and day out, that is, I feel like the value that I'm offering to somebody because I know what I'm doing, so I'm doing this every day. So I make sure they know that.
Good.
I ask them, say, hey, how's real estate? What part of it? You know, are you looking to sell? Are you looking to buy? Different parts of the real estate. Are you looking to invest? Why don't we go sit down and talk about it? You're looking to sell? Let's talk about selling your house.
So you just went into one of my questions, which is
All right,
good.
let's be closing.
Okay. So, and the answer is written all over your car that I saw when we came in on the back, right? And anybody in my office, we've trained on this, so you guys know how to answer it. But if someone asks you, and you should be asked every day probably by someone, how's the market? Unless you're a secret agent and they don't know you're in real estate, right? Because things are changing. So someone approaches you and says, how's the market? How do you answer the question?
Market's great.
Perfect. It depends, right? Depends. And why do you guys, I know Randy's a Tom Ferry guy too, and so am I, and that's where we get it from, right? And that's how we've taught it. But what does that do to potential clients? When you answer, it depends, what do you want to do? Buy, sell, invest, whatever. Why does that work?
It gets them thinking about, well, am I gonna buy or am I gonna sell? Or what am I? Why am I asking? Like,
Well, and the reality is then you can answer the question to what their needs are.
Yeah.
So whatever they're looking to do, then you've got the answer for them.
Well, if you
instead of-
say, oh, it's a crappy time to buy, it now takes 3 weeks to sell your house instead of 2 days.
Right.
Right? You just lost a seller. Or, hey, I want to buy, but you just said, oh, interest rates are really high. It's not a good time to buy. Well, you just lost a buyer lead. Right? So it depends. Right?
See, and I like the answer of the market's great. Because when is it a bad time to buy or sell a house? Never.
There you go.
And then roll into what is it you want to do?
Okay. How, on the market question, since we're there, what are you guys doing differently today in your business than you were doing 2 months ago? Mike.
Mostly education. Because our market has shifted so quickly and so much educating, we talked about it all today, educating our sellers on what to expect and educating our buyers on what to expect. Even something I heard the other day, and you guys tell me what you think of this, Randy, especially, sellers are, hey, reduce the price, make a price adjustment. Well, maybe instead of the price adjustment, maybe look at using that 10 or 20 or whatever $1,000 and helping the potential buyer buy that rate down a little bit.
Good.
Right? But it's education of what's happening in our market, because HGTV and their brother-in-law are not a great source for that information.
True. Nicole, how about you? Oh, sorry.
I had a piece on that just real quick.
Yep.
Is you have to educate, but in order to educate, you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So people know or think they know what's going on. So this is an opportunity right now. Take every class that's offered, get all the reports, check all the stats, know your neighborhood, know what's happening, because they're gonna ask you tough questions. And if you're not ready or informative to come back with that, they're gonna know.
And look at Randy, a huge producer. He doesn't shoot from the hip. He brings stats and he shows them, here's what's happening. It's not, well, I
Yeah.
think, because I've been doing this so long,
Yeah.
it's the facts.
Well, most of them are listening to the news, right? And what does the news do? Oh, the market's crashing,
Gloom and doom.
right? Go ahead,
A
Tim.
new thing that I started 2 months ago, and Randy be a tester, because I piggyback on a lot of his stuff. And especially when he reduces the prices. Tony was talking about that, that's what I do. This is to one of the ladies. So I called everybody back that went to that open house with me, and then Randy dropped another open house, or another list price. Face to face, I sent this all out last night to everybody, and then today I'll follow up, actually calling them to see.
Good.
So send out video messages, it doesn't take much. For free.
For free.
For free. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Send it to them.
Nicole, how important is training to you?
It's really important. I mean, we talked about, I think market data is important. I always attend the Cromford updates at least once a month, if not more, if I can. There's a ton of free ones. Just reach out to your title company. They all have webinars. It's just so important to know the nitty gritty details, because you will get those clients who want to know those details. And if you don't know it, you're not going to get the client. So I think that's important. And then trying to work towards designations and stuff for your GRI and stuff like that. I don't have any yet, but I'm working towards my CRS and some of the other ones. So it's important.
Okay.
Actually, when I'm telling him a full-time agent, I'm telling him I'm at weekly meetings with my broker. I get the market. I know the stats. I have the information. So they know that I know. And then when they ask the questions, I know it. And that's something I think you should brag about. I think you should get your training. You should know the information.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything in training?
I would just say training can be overabundant too. So remember that it's important, but also you.
You gotta actually work too?
I'm sorry, like
Yeah.
some people can be like, I'm at the title company 5 days a week. I'm like, you're not meeting anybody. You're not out there with, actually, at an open house.
It's a good point, right? Some people, all they do is educate, but then they don't work.
Yeah, you
right?
can't spend all your time getting
Or
ready.
be on a webinar in an open house. or
Yeah.
Whatever you're gonna do.
Okay, just a few more because we got to wrap it up, but break down your business. Where does the majority of your business come from? If you did a pie chart on your business, where is your business coming from?
A lot of mine is repeat clients that come in, referrals, and really that's probably the biggest.
Your biggest pie?
Yeah, 90% or so across clients referrals. The rest would probably be online leads, social media.
Okay, online social.
I feel like I have a big kind of wide variety. I have chamber, I have open houses, Zillow, past clients, Sphere, I think it's pretty much like a if you're not building your lead sources too, if you only have one, find another one that works for you and.
To build on that though, right? Did you start them all at the same time?
No,
Right.
and I like social media is a big one for me, but I don't do all social media. I dominate one. So if it's one that you dominate, you're great at Instagram, great. Then you build your, clientele doing that. I got 35 people on my Facebook. I have never probably met 90% of them, but through, just being on there, and I've closed deals off of them.
Okay, good.
A lot of mine were open houses, door knocking, neighborhoods, and the chamber events. So just getting out there.
Awesome. Sherry or Jeannie, anything?
Said that my referral is for the new agents, what I would say, because obviously all of us can say, oh, referrals and past clients, because we stood here and said how many years we've been in the business. That's kind of not what a new agent needs to hear. What I would say is, especially if you've been in the business the last couple of years, you're like, I've done some deals, and hopefully a lot of people have done a lot of deals in the last couple of years because it was a great market. And now we're kind of going into something that might feel a little bit uncomfortable in this shift. Decide in your mind, is this your business? Is this what you want to do? Are you passionate about it? Is this like your drive? Are you all in your business? Then go get a job waiting tables on Friday night to make the money to invest into your business. Because like in 2 years, I don't want to be waiting tables on Friday night. I want my business to do this. So to me, I'm like, don't exit during like
Push through.
when it's the uncomfortable
Push through.
market. Like we've been here long enough to tell you like it's so worth it, but invest in your business.
How many out of the panel right here has had like several months drought?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
like,
Jeannie, do you want to add anything?
Mine is definitely way up there on past clients referrals. Here, I will say, social media wise, my big thing is just being personal with them. Just interacting, commenting or doing it. I have received quite a few clients in the last 2 years, I would say, just from interacting with them. I haven't seen them in years. I haven't talked to them in years. And then you have a little bit of the, business push on it, and the other thing I would say too, with when you get to the point, you can get to the point of past clients and all that other stuff, but I would say it's wildly important, whatever you're doing that works, do
more of
that.
it.
Yeah.
Do that. Put your money in there, put your time in there, put everything in, whatever works, do that. So like I said, for me, they already know me. So I need to just call them. I need to just talk to them. I need to just meet up with them. But that may not be for you. So with open houses, we've seen huge success in our office with open houses. Then you know what? Every Friday and Saturday do open houses and do whatever. But whatever it is that works for you, do it and do it well.
Okay, last question because time goes by fast. But what tools, if it pertains to you, share it. If not, it's okay. What tools that Weichert provides do you use now, and what tools would you like to start using that you're not?
Gosh, my Weichert, KB Core is probably the biggest tool that I use, and all the features that are in there. And probably what I need to do is learn more about some of those tools that are available within that to utilize.
Okay,
Educate myself.
anybody else?
Maybe where I use a lot, and then I actually love the Doors presentation. Like you were saying, it's fantastic. And if I do get a call for listing appointment, I don't have to freak out on, oh my gosh, I have to do all this preparation. I have a saved template ready to go, so I just need to put their name in, a few photos, a few little details, and I look like I've spent hours on their presentation. So it's really, really good to utilize. It's on my iPad.
Good.
I think one of the biggest things, especially even for newer agents too, the buyer consultation is, I have said it many times. In fact, we have one of our agents that has a presentation on Sunday with her first client ever. And I just was like, go into the buyer consultation. It literally walks you through an entire transaction. Because sometimes even if that person's on the other side, doesn't have a credit score, doesn't have money, you're not really sometimes impressing them. What if they, again, you're getting in touch with their sphere? This is a nose to nose, toe to toes opportunity to show your worth and say, this is what I'm gonna do to help you. But at the end of the day, you're gonna get pre-qualified, you're gonna bring your down payment to the table, and then when we get what I call the golden ticket, which is the pre-qualification form, then we go out and shop, blah, 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 but it's all written in there. I've used it literally from day one that Wiker came into our office, and it is 30 minutes of an opportunity to connect with somebody.
Tim, anything?
I use KB4 religiously, every single day. I've gone through every single section in KB4. If you wanna learn more, I have a training at 9 on Thursday.
Excellent. I'll see you there.
So, one of the things I like best about it is the video, the bump on it.
Oh, yeah.
I do pay for it because you can store your videos in a library and then just go back to that video and blast it out to 700 people and you're done. Make your videos generic, so it's not to one person. Like what I did with the houses last night of Randy, I make them specific to that event, but then you can go in your library and just pull out, a generic one and shoot them all out to everybody.
Good.
That's, you can't find that in any other.
All right. Jeannie, share anything on that or general advice to close?
I have one, and I would say my favorite thing of all is the doors. And if you're a listing agent, 9 times out of 10, if you go in with that doors and you present it well, you're gonna walk away with the listing. So I
Okay.
would say if you don't know your doors, practice it, use it every single time because it is industry blowing away. So-
Wiker training next month on that.
Okay. Any parting there? You good?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said, and
Okay.
I like the closing. Flyer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just listed, just.
The
sold.
follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Anything else? Any questions real quick before we let them go?
I just wanted to add one thing. Do you own your own, or do you use something else? I have my own.
You use your iPad.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah, I bet.
Generic
Like,
Wiker works.
Yeah.
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 I love it. And then the other thing is the one tool that nobody mentioned up here, and you probably don't think about it, but every single person has in this room, their broker, their managers, their office staff, whatever else, and they're all here to help you guys, and that is a tool that is in your toolbox. Don't forget that one.
Yeah. Except Tony.
Anybody else? Questions?
Hey, real
For
quick,
the
I got one
agents.
thing, because
Okay.
somebody asked about books. I think you asked about books. 2 really easy to read books. One Tony talked about, Who Moved My Cheese? Great thing with market shifts. And the other was called Go for No. It's just a new perspective on getting no's, which we all get no's. Most people hate them and don't know how to deal with them. This book will give you a whole new perspective on
Hey.
getting no.
To all the agents that participated, thank you. Appreciate it.
I got one
Okay, hold on.
question for Julian. Is your business better because you're a Wiker girl now?
Now,
Well, I mean, you started with Randy before you went to Wiker and Brandon.
I think that, yeah, I mean, people recognize us a lot. if someone's from the East Coast or they're familiar with
Right.
White like I get that often.
But do you think the tools help your business, things like that?
Oh,
You
yeah.
think you're a better agent, better prepared because you're a Wiker girl now?
I
All
think
right.
that there's more in there that I could utilize, yeah, but I think that the tools are there for us to.
Awesome.
Okay, real quick before we close, we gotta do this. Cause everyone did their drawings. So real quick, first one, Tony, pull one out.